Hey everyone, it's Jeannie from A1 Vacuum and Sewing, and I'm getting ready to do my homework from the last sew along for Pumpkins and Potions. So I had gone ahead and done section 3 all the way through the owl, and now I have to finish the jack-o'-lanterns and section 4. And the rest of our homework will also be the felt bats and the lace bats. At least that's the plan. So for the jack-o'-lanterns, because it's 4 by 8, and when you add the quilting, it's going to be 4.5 by 8.5. I'm going to do it in this hoop, which is my 9.5 by 9.5. I'm going to go ahead and slide that on my machine. I already put in a white bobbin, and I know there are pineapples on the top. Those are those pineapples are from Hello Sunshine, which I'm still working on. I am still working on that. Okay, so we are going to do jack-o'-lanterns, and those are on page 15. How do I know that? Because I have my handy-dandy spreadsheet with all the pages on there. The quilting designs, the size, your batting size, the color for quilting, and your final cut size and what size hoops you can use. And they're all just suggestions. So let's go on over to the machine. Colors we're going to need. You're going to need linen, black, and marmalade. That's what it calls for. And I don't know what's on the next page. What's on the next page? Oh, you're also going to need cashmere. And I think that's it. And I'm just looking at the codes right here. So I'm going to take these over to the machine. Let's take this on over. And let's get stitching. All right. And we are going to go into... Oh, let me go ahead. I'm going to slide my hoop on. If you have hoops and they're sticky and hard to get on, make sure you hold this when you're sliding it on, because you don't want to push this out of alignment. And let's go embroidery. So we're going to go embroidery. I'm going to go down here. And the design we're using for our quilting is going to be Halloween 9 4x8. So I have a folder here for Pumpkins and Potions. Got moved down when I added mini quilts. I'm doing background quilting, and it's Halloween 9. And the format I am is PES for brother, and we're looking for the 4x8. And I'm going to go ahead and set that. We're going to add. So I'm going to go ahead and add. And I am adding the pumpkin design. So I'm going to go back to my USB, back to my Pumpkins and Potions folder. I have a folder that's called PES, and that's all the regular embroidery designs. And I need these pumpkins right here. I'm going to go ahead and set it. It is centered, and that's on the spreadsheet, but it's also here in your directions. It'll tell you to align the block embroidery file with the quilting design file so that both are centered. And then after quilting, go to the embroidery design. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose my hoop size. So I'm going to go up here. That's my settings button. And I'm doing 9.5 by 9.5. I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, if you don't have a 9.5 by 9.5, but you have a 9.5 by 14, you can always use that. I am going to touch embroidery here. It's going to combine my designs. I could combine it right here and rotate, but it's more steps. So I'm just going to touch embroidery, and on my layout screen, these two designs are combined, and they're going to move as one. I'm going to go layout, and I'm going to rotate. And then I'm going to scoot this all the way up to the top. Because my hoop is on, it's not going to come out. I'm going to say, okay, that saves me all of this muslin that I'm using, or poly mesh if that's what you're using. And I'm going to touch this button right here, which is where I can fast forward. I can see my times. I can go forward and backward stitches or whole steps. So let's come on over here. My batting, my background fabric. Let me pull those out. This is what you're going to be using. And I'm going to go ahead and spray my batting and my background fabric. First, I'm using my Dime spray tent. Here we go. This is my dime spray tent with a piece of cardboard in it. It's really dirty and gross, but that's okay. And we're going to spray the wrong side of our batting, which is like the nubbier side if you feel it. Let me see. Actually, I can't even tell. I think this is my dimple out, my dimple in. Isn't that funny? This one, I think this is more nubby. Okay, and let's pick a color that is going to contrast. And you know me, I like to go for mango smoothie. You want a color that, I like to do a color right now that I can see because you can see it in the video. And then I also like a color that's going to contrast with the background fabric. So this is your placement stitch for your batting. Don't worry about those pumpkins. I'm sorry, those pineapples back there. Those are from Hello Sunshine, but they were still attached. Make sure you fluff. Oh my goodness. You don't want an embarrassing situation like the one I had, where I didn't fluff and then my whole block got stitched down. And I was so embarrassed and I didn't want to tell you guys. And so I kept trying to hide it in the videos. And then that's how I am. I'm like, I don't want to tell anyone. And then I have to always fess up. Okay, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to lay it down right here in this square. And then I also sprayed my background fabric right here, and I'm going to center it. This is your last chance. Make sure there's no like dark threads or something icky back here. And I am going to center it to this block. I'm going to kind of feel around, and that's good. Doesn't have to be perfect. And now I'm going to do the tack down. So I'm going to skip this step. This is tack down for the batting. We don't need that because we cut it to size. Turquoise is placement for the background. We don't need that because we laid our background fabric down, and that's the tack down. And if you haven't done it yet, I would recommend that you put in a color that contrasts your background fabric. And now we need to do our quilting stitch, and it is recommending linen, so I'm going to put linen in next. And it's recommending a cream, but the glide cream color is linen. And that would be a good color to buy by the King Cone, or just have a backup because you use so much of it. Have a backup. Because the last thing you want is for it to be a Sunday and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm out of linen and everyone is closed. And there's your background quilting. Your background quilting's usually in green. Confirm you see it. And I see mine. I'm going to just let it go. This is 4 minutes of stitching. And then we're going to start the embroidery. I have 2 pieces of applique fabric right here. I'm going to give these a shot of spray to the back and just leave them in my spray tent. And then Real Spirit. That's the next embroidery. That's in section 4. So this is Real Spirit right here. Let me see. Real Spirit. Oh, look at that. Again, we're going to be in this hoop. So I'm going to go ahead and hoop up because it's going to be 8.5 by 8.5. So we'll do this in the 9.5 by 9.5. I'm going to go get my little folder that has the Real Spirit. So we'll be ready to go. And maybe I can, it's late here. Well, it's kind of late. It's almost 9. So I'm going to shoot for doing these 2 blocks tonight. Let me go find my Real Spirit. We're about halfway done. This is a 28-minute stitch out. There's a lot of stitching in this one. Alright, so the next two colors are going to make a difference. That's when you see the box with the lines, the diagonal lines. But the color that is going to make a difference next is going to be this. It's going to be your marmalade. So that's what I'm going to put in next. Oh, wait. Hello, wrong design, real spirit. We need to go back to the pumpkins. Okay. So, oh look, black. That color is what we're going to have to do next. It doesn't tell you to change a bobbin, so I'll just go ahead and leave the... There are some fine things. You know what? Let's just put the black bobbin in, and let's not worry about it. So it doesn't tell you... Oh, did I finish that? Yes. The quilting is done. I'm going to take off this hoop. I am going to put blacking because there is some fine detail, and I just don't want to worry about it. So... You don't have to, but I've never bought a box of black bobbins, but I would recommend buying a tube. And some people do a lot of black. If you're that type of person, then get a whole box. All right, and I'm going to put black in the top. But I definitely go through a tube here and there. White, if you're going to be an embroiderer, I say get a box. Because I think it comes out to be like 40 cents a bobbin or something like that, but it's pretty cheap. Maybe it's 50 cents a bobbin. Okay, go ahead and hit start. We are on this step right here, stitch the branches, one detail, and fills. This is what it's going to be stitching out. I saw there was a little bit of some fine details, so I was like, oh, let's just put in the black bobbin. I am going to change it back here, and then we'll go ahead and we'll do the orange branches. 2 minutes of stitching. When do you want to use a matching black bobbin? I think if it's like, if it's fine detail, if you're ever stitching and you're seeing flecks of white, go ahead and just change it out to the black bobbin. If you're doing fine lettering, definitely change it out. The last block in section 3. All right, let's go ahead and I'm going to change my bobbin out first. Let's put the white bobbin back in. And we're going to put in our marmalade, which is the darker of the two oranges. Ooh. Okay, and this is how I take my bobbin thread out. I go like this. I make sure this is open, and I just lift it here and here, and then once you get to here, it just comes right out. No resistance. Let's put our hoop back on. And remember, again, you want to hold it here. And for me, my nine sticks a little bit. And then go ahead and hit start. And it is going to stitch out the marmalade branches. All right, so now we're going to do some applique of the pumpkins. Color doesn't make a difference. I'm just going to leave that marmalade in, and it's going to do a placement stitch for pumpkin 1 and 2, which are the left pumpkins, and get your orange fabric out. So we're going to be laying down this piece right here. What we're doing is we're doing this step where it's doing the placement stitch. We're going to lay this down, we're going to do the tack down, and then we're going to trim. And I've already sprayed mine. You can tape if you want. You can do whatever you want. Now we're going to do the tack down, and then I'll go ahead and trim. I actually took my Martelli snips with me to Vegas because I was doing some beading. Patrick, I'd made him a bracelet. Oh my goodness, it was a long... Well, I made it for him probably 10 years ago, and then it broke probably about a year ago, and he asked me to fix it, and I just haven't had the time, so I brought that with me, and I fixed it for him. He goes, that only took a year. And at first I thought, oh my God, do I even remember how to do this? And I did. Okay, then you're going to trim. Color doesn't make a difference for the next pumpkin either, which is actually going to be black. So I'm just going to leave it in for that. I'm going to pull this back a little bit. There we go. Let's go ahead and trim this up. Whoops, got really close. Got a little bit too close right there. Sorry. That's Momo. He's excited about something. Okay, hang on. My door to my sewing room's open. And I'm too into this to get up to close it. Hang on. I'll do this and then I'll close it. Sometimes you have to be worried about snipping too close. But if it's like that's the last stitch and it's raw edge, then of course you want those stitches, but we're going to have some kind of applique stitch that's going to go over this, so I'm not worried about it. Okay, here we go. Now it wants to do the stitching and placement for the third pumpkin, so get your black piece of fabric out. We're doing this right here. Color doesn't make a difference. Stitch the pumpkin 3 placement line. Place the pumpkin 3 fabric right side up. Then we're going to do the tack down line, and we're going to trim the fabric close to the stitch line. So here we go. My black fabric is already sprayed. I'm just going to lay it down, give it a little press, and then we're going to trim. And then I think we're going to do some satin stitching. So we're going to satin stitch around the black pumpkin first, and then we're going to stitch the pumpkin 1 and 2 stem detail, satin outline, and pumpkin 3 faces. So we're going to do, this is step number 8. Then we need sterling for his face, and then black for his face. And then we're going to remove the block from the hoop. So let's go ahead and trim this first. Try not to hit that. My arm. And now it wants black. So let's go ahead and change our thread to black. I'm going to take out the marmalade. We've got 12 more minutes of stitching to do. Two minutes of satin stitching on this pumpkin. cute stem. All right, so that was black. We're going to put in marmalade next. Let me go ahead and get that. And I didn't put a matching bobbin in. It was totally fine. Marmalade. This is going to stitch the face on that black pumpkin. Let's go ahead and put this in on the black pumpkin. Oh, and it's also going to do the outlines. I'm looking at my screen. So it looks like face on the black pumpkin and the outline on the other two pumpkins, as well as the stems. This is 7 minutes of stitching. I am sitting here answering emails as I'm stitching, so good time to multitask. All right, you want to grab, oh, you know what? It's cashmere, not sterling. I think I might have said sterling. So we're going to grab cashmere. That's going to be the smiley face on the middle pumpkin. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm working on the brother order right now. We're doing a big brother sale. So I'm working on that right now. And it's a big one. It's a good time to get some good stuff. All right, so go ahead and do this smiley face. It's just a minute of stitching. And then when you're done with this, we're going to put the black back in. And it's going to be doing pumpkin one face detail. Right, and let's put the black in. It's not really fine stitching, so I'm just going to leave my white bobbin in there. I think we'll be fine. Where are you, black? There you are. Let me get this out of the way. Sorry. And this is the last smiley face, and then we are going to hoop up for real spirit. That's right. And should we just keep stitching? Maybe we should stitch out Ghost 2. Looking cute. All right, and we are done with jack-o'-lanterns. Let's get started with real spirit. We did it. Section 4. So we're going to do Real Spirit next. Here's my fabric. And we're going to use the same 9.5 by 14 inch hoop. Let's go ahead and rehoop. And again, don't pay any attention to those pineapples. Those are from Hello Sunshine. I'm going to cut them off, meaning I'm just going to separate these. Because, you know, every once in a while I rush and my embroidery gets flipped under and then it gets flipped down. And I am a crazy woman. I can't believe it. So take them off. You want to leave one on there when you're just hooping the way I'm hooping. This is muslin. And people always go, why do you use muslin? And I use muslin because when you are doing a quilt like this and you have background fabric with batting and it's backed with SF101, then it is okay to use muslin because it's enough support. It is not stabilizer, but there's enough support there. And I'm going to just make sure this comes down the tiniest bit, like that, a little bit more. Dun, dun. A little bit more like that. Okay. Push that down in there. Pull out my wrinkles. Make sure everything is in there nice and tight. And I'm going to go ahead and load this on the machine. Fluff this so it doesn't get folded under. I'm going to slide it on. And then let's go ahead and load our design. So let's take this over to the machine. Come on over. We're just working on organizing my room. And I'm going to hit the home button to clear my screen. And my spreadsheet, let me grab that. We're doing this design right here, Real Spirit. Our quilt design is Halloween 8, the 8x8. So I'm going to go into my upper USB. I have a folder for pumpkins and potions, background quilting first. And this is Halloween 8. And the design size we want is the 8x8 on PES. Here's the 8x8. I'm going to go ahead and set it. I don't have to set my hoop size because I already did it. I'm on 9.5 by 9.5. And I'm going to add. And the design I'm adding is Real Spirit. So let's go back to my Pumpkins and Potions folder. I created one that's just my PES designs. Not that the background quilting isn't, but these are just the embroidered designs. And we're looking for, what are we looking for? Real Spirit. What does Real Spirit look like? Oh, it's the one that says ghosts. Okay, this one right here. I'm going to go ahead and set it. And it brings it in sideways. So you can leave it like this if you want. You could go ahead and flip it if you want. I'm just going to leave it. And that's why it's going to be in the orientation you see in the book. I'm going to touch embroidery. That will combine these two designs and they will move as one. So now that's one design. And I'm going to go layout, move, and I'm going to scoot this up my hoops on so it won't go outside of my embroidery field. It's 8.5 by 8.5, so it doesn't matter if I go square this way or square this way. I'm going to say okay, and then this is the button that I touch so I can go backwards and forward stitches. Remember, turquoise is placement, orange is tack down, green is quilting. All right. So I block in there right now. I'm just going to leave that, and that is going to do the stitch for the batting. And let me grab my batting, and then I'll pick up the thread that I dropped. So here's our fabric for this one, and I'm going to spray the background fabric, which is this, and my batting first. And I'll spray the orange stuff, but I'll do that later. spray the wrong side of your batting. And the wrong side is the side that's bumpier and lumpier. Whoop! Got some jumpers. Whoa! I'm losing all my thread. Okay, so I sprayed my batting. I'm going to lay that first. I'm going to lay that down first. Make sure it is within that black square. And now I'm going to spray the background fabric, which is on my lap. I'm looking for it. Background fabric. Ooh, ooh. It's a big piece. And this is non-directional, but if you look at it and you go, that looks right side up to me, like the cats. For me, it's the cats in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and lay it down like this. And feel for the batting. Make sure that you have the batting centered. Oh, did I go down far enough? I did. And now it wants to do the tack down, and you want to pick a color that you can fussy cut to. So the black is going to blend in. It's going to be hard to see. I just so happen to have cashmere here. I'm just going to use that. I would use my mango smoothie, but guess what? That's one of the colors that fell on the floor. So I haven't bent down to get it yet. And this one is still here. So I'm going to do this one. Okay, we've got to skip some steps. Because remember, the next step is the tack down for the batting. We don't need that because we cut it to size. The placement for the background, we don't need that because we centered it to the batting. This is the tack down for the background, and this we need. Whoops. Did you see that? Oh, I did thread it. I was like, ooh, didn't thread it, which is like what I do all the time. And I'm just putting my fingers here because I'm going to tickle my fabric just to make sure it's nice and taut, that it's not like puckery or bubbly. There we go. Oh, there's my last thread. Hang on, let me grab all of these. Oh wow, I would have never have seen that one. This one is like all the way under the back of the table. Holy cow. Okay, let me put those right there. All right, and now it wants to do the quilting stitch. The color it's recommending is black. There's a lot going on this fabric, so I am going to just keep it black. But you could do orange, or you could do something really fun. You know me, I'm scared to take chances. I mean, orange would be so much fun, wouldn't it? That's what I should be doing, but I'm going to do black. And this is 4 minutes of stitching. Here we go. And look at your screen. Make sure you're on your quilting stitch. Confirm it's right there. If not, you got to fast forward to it. Every once in a while, I'll do the placement stitch for the batting, and then I'll forget to fast forward, and then I'll be really confused because it's not doing the quilting stitch. So just make sure you confirm and look on your screen. There's so many times that I look at my screen and it saves me because I think I'm on a step that I'm on and I'm not. So other colors you're going to need for this embroidery will be marmalade, linen, sterling, white, shadow with a matching bobbin for your black. And then change back to a neutral color. When there is a little ghost there too. And then we're going to do your label placement line. That is your orange piece of fabric, and you should have some shape flex on the back of this, and make sure there's no icky threads there. You don't want that. I'm going to give this a little shot of spray so it's ready. We're about 2/3 of the way through. Honestly, this one's so busy. I almost feel like this block would look better if it had just had something, I don't want to say plain, but if it just had like plaid or swirls or something like that. I think this design kind of gets lost. So the next two colors don't make a difference. Right here you see after quilting, go to the embroidery instructions. These two don't make a difference, but the next color that does is marmalade. So I'm going to go ahead and put marmalade back in right now. Just look ahead, and if it makes sense, put that color in. I could put something else in. I'm not going to do black because I don't think I'm going to see it. But marmalade I'll see. And then that's what we're going to be using next. Okay, here's placement stitch. Placement's in turquoise, even though I'm using marmalade. You do not have to use turquoise for this. I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to check all the sides, make sure I'm covering everything. Give it a little push down because I did spray this. You can tape it if you want, glue stick it, whatever you feel like doing. I'm a sprayer. This is the spray I use, Ganode KK100. I love it. I probably go through, I mean, he's kind of a big can. I probably go through 2 cans a year. And then after it does the tack down, we're going to trim it close to the stitch line. So we're doing this right now, the tack down. Then we're going to trim it close to the stitch line. And then we're going to do step number 3, which is the satin stitch. We already have our color in. And then we'll do the linen around that. Okay, let's go ahead. It is windy outside, which is worrisome. We have some fires close to Reno. I think there was a fire up in Truckee that they got out pretty quickly. But then there's a fire, if you're familiar with this area, up in Verdi. So hopefully the fires really worry me when there's wind. And it's been so dry here. Dry, dry, dry. Super dry. There we go, looking good. And go ahead and hit start. If you don't have your marmalade thread in, put it in now. So this is going to be the marmalade satin outline. It's going to take 7 minutes. It's a lot of stitching. And we're in section 4, so I'm thinking I'm going to do something purple. Now that we're in another section, I want to throw some purple in there. And it is time to change my bobbin. Let me see if I have a bobbin here, and I do. So we're going to use this. I pulled that out already. Let me put these in here. Black bobbin. Oh no, that's a blue bobbin. And let's go ahead and change this. Oh, I already cut my thread. Let me go ahead and slide this out. Be careful. Make sure you don't bump your carriage. I always just throw these away. I mean, I know there's a little bit of thread on there, but sometimes it gets knotted at the very end. So I just never want to deal with that. So I just throw it away. It's probably like a yard of thread. And for somebody that hoards, meaning me, it's a big deal that I just throw it away. This is just doing the undersewing, so I'm just going to keep letting it go. I'm not going to go ahead and go back stitches. If it was doing the satin stitch, I would, because I want that satin stitch to be nice and full. Next up is going to be Ghost 2. Let me go ahead and grab the fabric for that. Ghost 2. This is what you need for Ghost 2. So your background fabric, your gauze, all of that good stuff. And let me check my directions because I think I was missing something last time. So Ghost 2 is going to be on page 26. You need your gauze overlay, the ghost fabric, and I think that's it. He's cute. I think we should go ahead and do Ghost 2 and Candle 1. We're just going to get it done. think I might need to do, I think I might need to do this in purple. What do you think? Just this part right here. I think that'll look super pretty. And that could be my touch of purple. Okay, for Ghost 2, those are going to be in the, what size hoop? Sorry about that. 4x8, so I'm going to do it in this same hoop. I'm just going to bump it up to the top. And let's look at candle 1, because maybe that's where I'll put my purple in. Can't decide. Don't worry about that knocking, that's just my clips. I'm going to move them so they're not making that much noise. We are probably about, what do you think? Is that like 75% done with the satin stitch? Okay, next color, like I said, is going to be, I think it's linen. Yeah, we're going to put linen in next. And linen's going to do a little stitch on the inside of that. And it's going to take 3 minutes. I can't tell from my screen. I think it's like a smaller satin stitch. It's just skinnier. Put this back here. So I was telling Patrick that my cutter wasn't cutting well, and he goes, is it dirty? And I was like, I didn't know it could get dirty. He goes, it might just need to be cleaned. I was like, okay, well, maybe that's it. And then you're going to put in your sterling, which is going to be the light gray. We are 14 minutes into 32 minutes. to get my sterling ready to put in. And right now what it's doing is it is doing this step right here, number 4. Then we're going to stitch the label border, which is going to go right on the inside of that in the sterling, and then we're going to do the ghost fill. He's kind of a big ghost. Part of me thinks, oh, we should have done applique, right? Okay, here's linen. I'm going to go ahead and put in my sterling, which is a great, fantastic gray. We're a little more than halfway done with this embroidery. Okay, then we're going to stitch the ghost fill. I'm going to use my glow-in-the-dark thread. So I'm going to use this one. I might turn it down a little bit if this gets a little fussy. And when I say turn it down, I might turn my speed down. We'll see how it does at full speed first. All right, let's go. Sometimes specialty threads can be a little bit fussier. And this is the ghost fill. It'll do some undersewing first. I don't care if that thread gets stitched down. I look at it and go, oh, that's just more thread fill. And then we're gonna need shadow for the ghost face fill. So right now it's doing this step right here. And then after that, we're gonna do his face, and then we'll do black. We're gonna change our bobbin out after the ghost face fill, and that's gonna make sure that all of this is gonna be filled in really nicely without any speckles of white. This stitching doesn't look too skinny, so I'm just gonna use the regular black thread. Ready? Got one right here. And you can also use, like, if you're worried about some of that orange showing through, you can always use a white permanent topper. And almost all the embroidery brands sell a variety pack with different colors in it. What I really wish was that they would sell a pack that had all white and a pack that had all black. Because I feel like those are the colors that I need the most. Right, now I'm going to put in shadow for the ghost face fill. Ghost face fill. Ooh, you're so spooky. All right, ghost face fill. And then we're going to change our bobbin. Hang on. He's got 2 spooky eyes and 1 spooky mouth. And don't worry about those threads. We're going to trim them. All right, let me go ahead and change out the bobbin. This black bobbin I have may or may not be enough, but we're going to go for it because I want to use it up, right? Don't forget, thread feeds over on the right-hand side. Oh, wait, no, on the left-hand side. Thread goes like this. I was just giving you misinformation. Oops. Wait. Foot up. We need black thread. Black. I was giving you misinformation. If you have a top-loading bobbin, like I do, it comes over on the left. And here we go. 7 minutes of stitching. Just let this go. we've got 4 more minutes of stitching to go, and then we're going to start Ghost 2. Got a minute of stitching left. Ghosts have the reel. We're going to play Wheel of Fortune. Ghosts have the real spirit. And we are done. Okay, let's hoop up. We are going to get ready to do Ghost 2. I'll meet you over at my hooping station. All right, Ghost 2 is going to be on page 26. Here he is right here. And we are going to do him in the same hoop. We're going to kind of do like the jack-o'-lanterns. Ghost 2 is the same size as the jack-o'-lanterns. We're going to turn it, make it long horizontal, and scoot it up. So let's go ahead and rehoop first. So we don't want to take chances. We're going to cut this one off, and that way we're sure that he doesn't get stitched down. I like to turn it to the back side and cut in between the two. You never want to cut it like right next to one or the other, because you never know when you might need a little fabric outside of the trim line. So I'm going to take that, put it right here. We're going to rehoop, and we are going to be careful that this does not get folded under. I'm going to be careful. Okay, let's unclip this, roll it out a little bit more. I won't have to roll it out a ton because we're going to be scooting this up. I was like, should I go to bed or should I stitch one more? And you know, sometimes you're just in the mood to stitch. That's how I feel. Okay, push it in. Make sure the inner hoop and the outer hoop are flush. Like that. This hoop is flush with the outer hoop, and get out all the bubbles, which we did. And I'm going to go slide this on the machine. Oh, I'm going to change my bobbin because it still has the black one in there. So I'm going to change it to my white one. You're not seeing this, but that's okay. You know what I'm doing. Fluff that fabric, slide your hoop on. All right, and I'm going to take you on over. Here we go. Let's load our design. Gonna grab this spreadsheet, and we are doing Ghost 2, so we need Halloween 9 4x8. So touch the home button. That's gonna clear your screen. I'm still using the same 9.5 by 9.5 inch hoop, so I'm not gonna reset that. And my folder is Pumpkins and Potions. My background quilting design is Halloween 9, and my size is, I'm PES, that's my format, 4x8. Go ahead and select that. I'm going to add to that, and the design I'm adding is Ghost 2. So let me go back to that folder, and I created another folder that's just my PES embroidery designs or applique designs for this. And here's Ghost 2. It's the 3 ghosts. I'm going to set it. That design is centered, so I'm not going to move it at all. I am going to move it in the next screen, but I'm going to touch embroidery. That's going to turn these 2 designs into one design. I'm going to go layout, rotate, and I could have done this in the previous screen, but I would have had to have combined it there. So I'm going to touch rotate 90 degrees, and I'm going to scoot it all the way up. My hoop is on, so it did not go outside the embroidery field. I'm going to go ahead and say okay. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to touch this button down here, and that's going to allow me to go forward and backward whole steps or stitches, ones, tens, hundreds, or thousands, or back to 0. I'm going to go ahead and leave it here, and let's go ahead and stitch. Remember, turquoise is placement, orange is tack down, green is quilting. So I have black in. I'm just going to go ahead and stitch out my placement stitch in the block because color doesn't make a difference right now. I'm going to make sure that's not going to stitch this down, and it'll go a 1/4 inch outside of that, so I think we're fine. How close are we? We're good. While it's doing that, I'm going to spray my batting and my background fabric on the wrong sides. And the wrong side is the nubbier side. And I'm using my Dime spray tent and my KK Gnold spray. Gnold. And I'm a sprayer because I think it's easier. And I mean, I don't want to tape my batting down. And you don't need a ton of spray, just a little bit. Just so it sticks. I'm going to grab my batting and let me put this over here so I can. I'm going to make sure it's in this square. I should slide this out towards me, but I'm not going to. And just make sure it covers that whole square or fits within that square. And now I'm going to give my background fabric a shot of spray to this back side too. And I'm going to kind of center it to my batting and lay it down and push it down. And here we go. I'm going to get it under here. Lay it down. I'm going to feel around here. And that's about an inch all the way around. That feels good. Okay, we're going to skip some steps. So this is the tack down for the batting. Don't need it. Placement for the background. We already placed, so we don't need it. Tack down for the background. We need that. I'm just going to leave the black in there. And let's go ahead and tack it down. I'm just smoothing my fabric to make sure there's no bubbles. I call this tickling my fabric. And then it wants us to do the quilting stitch. And if you look at your book or the spreadsheet, it's going to tell you right here that it recommends what color it recommends for quilting. And it's showing you the symbol for sterling, which is the gray. So I'm going to go ahead and put my gray in. Taking out my black. Sorry. My filming arm is in between me and everything I need to do. So every once in a while I hit it. And this is a 23-minute stitch out, so it's not too long. 4 minutes of stitching for the quilting. So go ahead and just hit start, and it's going to do the quilting stitch. And just confirm that's what you see on your screen. It should be green. It's the green right here. And the quilting, not all machines have this. This is a progress bar, and I love this because this tells me, like right here, I go, ooh, there's a big chunk here. If I need to run upstairs and get a glass of water, I could do it right here. Maybe not here because I'm going to be doing applique. But maybe here or even here, that's going to be my biggest chunk of time stitching. And it also tells me here how much time I have to stitch. But that's when you touch the button on the bottom. That gives you the plus minus for stitches, or if you hit layout. So it says after quilting, go to the embroidery instructions. So after we're done with the quilting, we're going to start here with number 1. Sometimes it'll tell you to go to like step 3 or something. It wants you to skip some of the steps. So it's really important that you always look here to see what you're going to be doing next. When we get to this step, color doesn't make a difference. First color that's going to make a difference is the marmalade. So after the quilting, I'm going to put in my marmalade thread. All right, we are on to the placement stitch for the ghosts. So I am going to go ahead and put in my marmalade. That's the darker of the oranges in your thread kit if you got the thread kit. And here we go. And what we're going to place down, the fabric. I think this is royal icing, but I'm not positive. I'd have to look at the cut list. Check the back. That's the side with the shape flex. Make sure there's no black threads or dark threads sandwiched in there. We're going to spray the wrong side. And then we're also going to place down our gauze overlay, which you were supposed to saturate with starch. But I didn't do it the first time and it came out fine. So I said, oh, I'm not doing it the second time either. And it was totally fine. And you're going to place the ghost fabric and 2 ghost overlay pieces right side up. So you need 2 pieces. This just happens to be, let me unfold it. Here we go. So I'm just going to fold mine doubled over. Let me go ahead and lay this down first. Do I have the right side? Yes, I do. I'm going to lay this down first. And then I'm going to lay this down. This is the last thing I'm going to need it for. So I'm going to go ahead and spray this. And then I'll lay it down. And you just want it flat. I don't really care if it's a little swirly, but just flat. All right, next step. It wants you to stitch the ghost tack down. Do not trim the fabric or gauze at this time. And the other thing is, you know what I'm going to do is I am going to do this. There's going to be a thick satin stitch that goes around this, but I don't want my, I don't want this to kind of shadow through. So I'm going to do a lighter color. I'm going to do the cashmere. And this is going to do the stitch down. Now the other thing we talked about was okay, here we go. This is going to do the tack down. And again, I just made sure this was nice and flat. I did a little spray adhesive and I think it looks great. Nothing's moving around. I have a little bit of color, so it's going to make it easier for me to trim. And then it wants you to stitch the leaf detail, and I'm going to do mine in lavender. So I'm going to do lavender, which I think is going to be so pretty with the gray. Here we go. I'm okay with a little wave in my gauze, but you don't want our lumps. You don't want it to be lumpy and bumpy. Do not trim the fabric or the gauze at this time. Now I'm going to go ahead and put in lavender. Sorry about the bouncing arm. And here we go. Just going to stitch out all those pretty flowers. And this is going to be 4 minutes of stitching. All right. Next, we're going to, it says carefully remove the tape, which I didn't use. trim the fabric and gauze close to the stitch line. So let's go ahead and trim that up close to the stitch line. I'm going to go ahead and... This gauze was kind of fun. I'm going to trim my gauze first, and then I'll come back for the fabric. All right. There's my gauzy gauze. I also want to trim the fabric. And I'm going to come in with my beefier scissors. Let's get my 6-inch. Let's just go with these. We don't want to get too close. Need a little bit of a better angle. All right. If you feel like you didn't get close enough, get a little bit closer, but you're going to have a nice satin stitch that goes around this. All right, I'm going to slide this back on. We want to stitch out the ghost satin outline in white. So let me take out my lavender thread. I'm going to put in my white thread, or should we do spooky glow in the dark? So let me grab my spooky glow in the dark. And this is going to do a satin outline. And again, if your thread gets finicky, just slow it down a little bit. Nine minutes of stitching here. Just let it go. starting to sound a little funny. Let me just go ahead. I'm going to cut that thread and just make sure it looks okay. Oh, look at that. Sometimes it just cuts it and you get a coil, right? So if you hear that, if it starts to hear funny, if it starts to sound funny, sorry about that. So I'm going to go ahead and back up. Let me back up 20. And let's go ahead and start again. Oh shoot, I wasn't even thinking that that you were hearing that. Sorry. Let's see. And that I was just listening to oh, hang on a second. Let me get this plugged in too. It's getting dark. We were at 4%. I was trying to answer somebody's question on YouTube, so it pulled up the live feed. And then I wasn't even thinking that you were hearing that. Okay, and it's thick here. So I think my thread broke because just keep in mind it's going through all that thickness. Let me go back 10. I'm going to slow it down the smallest amount. So if you want to go back and you're not in that screen, this is where you go. Forward and backward stitches, and I hit -10 twice. And I'm also going to go up here, and I'm going to slow down just a little bit. Let's go to 800. But normally, I am a full speed girl. But since I'm going through all of this, that's thick. And it broke again. But that's okay. I think I'm through it all. Let's see. We are at, let's go +10. Let's go +1. I think that's the end of it. Yeah, so there's probably like 5 stitches left, but I'm good with that. Now it wants to do the black. So I'm going to take this out, and it wants to do, and actually it's calling for shadow. Stitch the eyes and mouth fill. Remove the block from the hoop. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in shadow. It's not asking me to put in a different bobbin. So we'll just put in our dark gray. Doesn't it look so pretty with the purple? Love it. And this is 3 minutes of stitching. my goodness. And we are done. Is this so cute? So, it's 11:34, which is way past my bedtime. So I do want to do the next one, but I'm going to make good choices and I'm going to go to bed. And I will finish, hopefully tomorrow night, I'll be able to finish my homework, which is going to be, where's my sheet? I'm going to finish candle 1, and then I'm going to do my embellishments. So I will get those recorded tomorrow, and then we'll be ready for the sew along. Hopefully, I'm hoping we can do that on Friday, and I will talk to you later. Thanks for joining me. And don't forget to like and subscribe and to follow. Thank you. Bye.